When all of your friends have been ripped away and taken from you, it could cause an individual to begin questioning their allegiances, and even, perhaps, turn towards the dark side. When you are left with a confused existence, you might even begin sympathizing with characters like the Sith, and see their demise as an unfortunate series of seemingly bad luck and randomness. But for a non-canon expert, nothing in the Star Wars universe happens merely due to unforeseen circumstances. In this video expose, I will argue that although the whole Luke, Rebellion, and Darth Vader redemption plots were kind of important, the destruction of the Sith was destined to occur through the perversion of Darth Bane's grand plan, underpinned by his rule of two, by the final three Dark Lords of the Sith. To understand why the Sith were not quite the Sith they needed to be when the fall of the Galactic Empire occurred, we must first understand the Baneite system, or rule of two, and Darth Bane's grand plan. The grand plan, or Sith imperative, was a plan devised by Darth Bane as a plan of precision for destroying the Jedi Order and the Republic, wherein the result would be that the Sith would rule the galaxy. Recognizing that the Jedi and Republic were far too entrenched, and that the Sith were far too weak for the grand plan to be achieved within his own lifetime, Darth Bane set out a doctrine for subsequent Sith Lords to follow and achieve the grand plan's aims. Before looking at the principles of this doctrine, and its importance to the demise of the Sith Order, let's briefly understand why Darth Bane's reformation of the Sith was necessary. At the end of the New Sith Wars, 1,000 years before the events occurring in A New Hope, Darth Bane realized that the Sith had become a flawed organization, as led by the Brotherhood of Darkness and the Sith Council of Lords. Darth Bane became increasingly aware that the Brotherhood of Darkness's plan to beat the Jedi and the Republic through superior numbers could only fail on the basis that the nature of the dark side relied upon strength, and not numerical superiority. Darth Bane recognized that the Brotherhood's plan, overseen by the Sith Council of Lords, negatively suppressed the dark side's strength, as the equality practiced by the Brotherhood enabled Sith who were lesser in ability to ally and combine their strength to overpower stronger Sith. Darth Bane then worked towards destroying the Brotherhood of Darkness via a thought bomb, which worked spectacularly and left Bane as the sole remaining Dark Lord of the Sith in the galaxy. He wasn't even willing to save Githany, who was totally into him. I mean, talk about commitment. Darth Bane then founded a new order of Sith Lords, aimed at destroying the Jedi and the Republic in secret, as governed by his rule of two. The rule of two was a necessary doctrine, and was the foundation upon which future Sith Lords would build towards the success of the Grand Plan. It was the guiding principle of the new order of the Sith, and aimed to put an end to the infighting and internal strife amongst the Sith. The rule was simple: only two Sith at any single time, a master and an apprentice, which would ensure that the apprentice became powerful enough in the dark side to achieve the title of master in a meritorious and worthy fashion. The transfer from apprentice to master would only be achieved when the apprentice took the master's life and found a student worthy enough to continue on the cycle in furtherance of the grand plan. Therefore, the rule of two allowed the power of the Sith Order to grow through each subsequent cycle, to where only two Sith would be strong enough to destroy the Jedi, destroy the Republic, and control the galaxy. The rule of two was not the result of some simple thought experiment. The rule was what it was for good reasons that were justified through a number of important events in Darth Bane's life. The rule of two was premised upon the teachings found within Darth Revan's holocron, which Bane personally sought out and found in the Temple of the Ancients, and which he spent weeks studying, uncovering information about both the dark side and the Sith. The rule of two was also the logical conclusion from Darth Bane's personal experience at the Sith Academy on Korriban, and with the Brotherhood of Darkness's failings in the New Sith Wars. Darth Bane established the rule of two to lay the foundation to propel the Sith towards control of the galaxy. However, like most things that start off great, the rule of two was perverted by subsequent Dark Lords of the Sith, to the point that by the time we get to Darth Sidious, it was completely abandoned and disconnected from Darth Bane's grand plan. And seeing how important and critical the rule of two was to the grand plan, this perversion only worked to undermine and weaken the Sith. The perversion of the rule of two significantly began under Darth Tenebris, a male Bith who was master to the master of Darth Sidious, Darth Plagueis. Darth Tenebris began to usurp the Baneite system and end the rule of two when he chose to dedicate his life to the goal of immortality. However, it wasn't until Darth Tenebris became aware of the prophecies of the Chosen One, who would bring balance to the Force, where Tenebris embarked upon a different path foreseen by Darth Bane. Upon learning about the Chosen One, Darth Tenebris undertook to use a variation of the essence transfer to transfer his consciousness into the body of the individual deemed to be the Chosen One at the moment of their birth, thus making himself the Chosen One. Darth Tenebris was interested in assuming the position of the Chosen One as he foresaw them rising to the position of the one Sith, who would achieve immortality. Therefore, Darth Tenebris chose to end the rule of two and determined that instead of passing down the teachings of those Sith Lords who came before him, he would work towards achieving immortality and take the title of the Chosen One. Darth Tenebris further destroyed the rule of two and Baneite system by manipulating his apprentice Darth Plagueis, where he too became obsessed with immortality and developed a singular fear of death. Darth Tenebris built up that fear within Darth Plagueis to the point that it fully encompassed Plagueis' life and became his obsession. Hoping to prey upon Darth Plagueis' fear so as to manipulate him into helping him achieve immortality, Darth Tenebris created a loathing disdain within Darth Plagueis towards Bane's rule of two. After Darth Plagueis used a convenient opportunity to kill his master, in which Darth Tenebris became extremely worried after having to use the Force to shield himself and Plagueis from an explosion, Plagueis could not help but to reveal to his dying master that it would be his life's goal to put an end to the old order of Darth Bane's rule of two, and to achieve immortality himself. Even Darth Tenebris, who himself wished to end the rule of two, recognized that Darth Plagueis seriously endangered the continuation of the Sith, and expressed disappointment in his apprentice, just prior to having his neck broken. Darth Plagueis took on a greater hatred and disdain for the rule of two than even his master Darth Tenebris. He appalled Darth Bane's rule of two as he rebelled at the notion that he must train and build up an apprentice that would go on to end his life. Darth Plagueis not only had no intention to die at the hand of his apprentice, but to avoid his death altogether. Instead, Darth Plagueis intended to break the master-apprentice cycle instituted by Darth Bane and planned to rule the galaxy in tandem with his apprentice, Darth Sidious, wherein Sidious was the public face of the Empire and Plagueis yielded power from the shadows. Darth Plagueis' break from the rule of two was particularly egregious, even in relation to that of Darth Tenebris. Not only did he wish to end the master-apprentice cycle and achieve immortality, but he also wished to achieve equality between himself and Darth Sidious, allowing both of them to fulfill the grand plan together. In order to do so, Plagueis sought to end any feelings of jealousy and mistrust between himself and Sidious, and wished to end any secrets that would remain between them. This type of equality amongst the Sith was exactly what Darth Bane sought to avoid, as it impeded the strength that was natural to the dark side. Without a master to embody the power, and an apprentice to crave it, the Sith would not fully gain the strength embodied by the dark side. One may think that Darth Sidious corrected the errors made by Darth Tenebris and Darth Plagueis in their rebellion against the rule of two, by murdering Plagueis and taking on a number of apprentices, culminating with his apprentice Darth Vader. However, like his master, Sidious was not an adherent to the ideology of Darth Bane, and similarly rejected the rule of two. Like the two previous Dark Lords of the Sith, Darth Sidious sought to achieve immortality and rule the galaxy forever, as he planned to replace Bane's rule of two with his own rule of one. Darth Sidious's rule of one called for the embodiment of the Sith in a sole reigning Dark Lord, i.e., himself, who would achieve immortality and live forever as the Emperor of the galaxy. There would be no succession of power to a Sith apprentice, as the apprentices were merely tools that would assist Sidious's rule over the galaxy. Therefore, like Darth Plagueis and Darth Tenebris, Darth Sidious systematically rejected the Baneite system and put an end to the doctrine of the rule of two. Something should also be said about the way in which Darth Plagueis and Darth Sidious took the title of Master and became Dark Lords of the Sith. Darth Bane and his apprentice, Darth Zana, established the precedent where the apprentice challenged the Master to a duel that would legitimately decide whether the apprentice was worthy to become the Master and assume the title of Dark Lord of the Sith. The duel between Bane and Zana was an honorable contest, and in besting him, Zana proved that she was worthy to assume the title of Master and continue the grand plan by training Darth Cognis. Compare this to the way that Darth Plagueis and Darth Sidious murdered their masters and assumed their Dark Lord title. In the case of Darth Plagueis, he took advantage of Darth Tenebrist exhausting himself, while shielding both Plagueis and himself from an explosion to hurl falling debris on top of Tenebrist and mortally wounding him. In the case of Darth Sidious, he waited until Darth Plagueis became significantly intoxicated and fell asleep before unleashing Sith lightning attacks on Plagueis and torturing him to death. This hardly compares to Darth Zana challenging Darth Bane to a fair duel, to decide whether she was worthy to usurp Bane as Master, assume the title of Dark Lord of the Sith, and repeat the cycle with her own apprentice. This isn't to say that Darth Sidious was weak. He was certainly the beneficiary of a millennium of Sith planning and knowledge, and ultimately succeeded in achieving the grand plan set forth by Darth Bane, by destroying the Jedi and the Republic and instituting the Galactic Empire. He was powerful. However, Darth Sidious, as well as his predecessors, rushed the grand plan into fruition by desiring immortality and to rule the galaxy themselves, which compromised the grand plan, as the timing may have been opportune to take power, but also left the Sith ill-prepared to hold on to it. One of my most anticipated reveals for episodes 7, 8, and 9 is to see what philosophies emerged to fill the vacuum left behind by the Sith, and the failures that were ushered in by the rejection of the doctrine of the Rule of Two. Particularly, it will be fascinating to see how Luke, Supreme Leader Snoke, and Kylo Ren fit into the new paradigm, and see what approach they utilize for the Force. So there we go, a more than reasonable and virtually unassailable argument for why the Sith were destined to fail due to their perversion of Darth Bane's Rule of Two. Luke's internal strength to reject the dark side and Vader's redemption may have played a small part as well. We love doing these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions? Also, if you enjoyed the video, why not give a like or leave a comment? If not for me, for Darth Zana and Githany.